Imagine waking up every single day behind cold, steel bars. Not for a week, or even a year, but for 32 long years. Innocent. Protesting that truth, yet the system won't listen. This is the story of John Huffington. Arrested in 1981, convicted, incarcerated for a crime he says he never committed. 32 years, lost. And then something that should have set him free nearly destroyed everything all over again. Stay with me, because when the truth finally surfaced, it didn't come with an apology, it came with a fight for justice. Harford County, Maryland, mid-1970s, a quiet, predictable place. Inside it lived a young man named John Huffington, delivering sodas after school and dreaming of college football. He wasn't perfect, he was 18, impulsive, a teenager finding his way. A prom photo, a high school job, weekend drives with friends, that was John's world. Yet even the most ordinary stories can be shattered. One bad day, one wrong turn, one flawed assumption, and that world came crashing down. That turn began on a Memorial Day weekend in 1981. Late May 1981. Harford County awoke to sirens and flashing lights. Two bodies, Diane Becker, 27, and Joseph Hudson, 29, found brutally slain. Shock rippled through the community, grief and fear mixed in tense silence. Investigators combed the scene. But witnesses were few, and physical evidence, almost none. Then came a break, a single strand of hair under a microscope, matched to John Huffington. That was all it took. At 18, John was no longer a teenager, he was a suspect. They arrested him, not for what they knew, but for what they surmised. And just like that, life derailed. From that moment forward, the path was set, not toward truth, but toward punishment. The trial moved quickly. Defense was inexperienced, the prosecution leaned not on certainty, but on suggestion. Microscopy, now widely discredited, stood as scientific proof. Witnesses, some jailhouse informants, offered changing stories that suited the prosecution's narrative. At 18, John Huffington was convicted, sentenced to 2 life terms, with some filings mentioning the death penalty. The verdict was final. But the reasons were flawed. Media circled, but few spoke his name beyond headlines. Inside that cell, the real sentence began, the silent toll of lost decades. Yet that toll was not only his. It was everyone he was, everyone he might have become. Days became weeks. Weeks became years. And John Huffington spent them behind bars. Letter after letter went unanswered. Appeals were denied. Hope became a whisper in a world of steel and concrete. Seasons changed. Family birthdays, graduations, funerals, all marked without him. Each denied petition felt like a nail in the coffin of hope, but he refused to be silent. He wrote to innocence organizations. He studied legal precedent. He clung to justice like a lifeline. Still, the walls closed in tighter. Some nights, all he had was that lifeline, and he held on. In the late 2000s, science advanced. Hair microscopy, once seen as proof, was revealed to be unreliable. DNA emerged as the definitive arbiter. Lawyers reviewed his case. They filed motions, demanded retesting, waded through outdated records. And then, a breakthrough, DNA evidence proved he could not have committed the crime. Suddenly, 3 decades of conviction stood on unsteady ground. It took decades, but the truth was coming into focus. It wasn't just scientific vindication, it was a promise deferred. Somewhere, buried under years of locks and bars, justice waited, patient but unyielding. And now, it was coming for him. Finally, the cell door swung open. After 32 years, John Huffington stepped into daylight. The world felt new, yet oddly hollow. Freedom tasted like gratitude, tinged with grief for the years he'd lost. He hugged his family. Tears fell, embraced by arms he hadn't sensed in decades. He tried to reclaim a life, but time is unforgiving. It marched forward without him. And while freedom is everything, the years stolen could never be returned. But in that moment, the fight for truth became something more, something that outlived the bars. In July 2025, John Huffington filed a federal lawsuit against those who wronged him. He named former state's attorney Joseph Cassilly, assistant Gerard Cummin, and detectives, alleging withheld evidence, fabricated witness statements, and malicious prosecution. The complaint cites a 1999 FBI memo warning prosecutors about flawed testimony, and claims it was suppressed. Some of the officials named are now deceased. But the lawsuit argues accountability isn't erased by death. It demands answers, not only for John, but for the integrity of justice itself. The fight shifted from proving innocence to demanding reform. From seeking relief to seeking redemption of the system. John Huffington's story isn't an outlier, it's a warning. Wrongful convictions happen when forensic science fails, when testimony is coerced, or when prosecutorial ambition blinds the system. Reform is more than necessary, it's urgent. Open file discovery, independent forensic review, prosecutorial ethics oversight, all are vital. Because justice is fragile. It relies on asking hard questions, listening to soft truths, and admitting mistakes when they happen. If the system fails one person, it fails us all. John Huffington lost 32 years of his life. No verdict, no compensation, can return that time. He walked free, but true freedom is never just about release. It's about truth. His lawsuit, his legacy, is a demand for transparency, accountability, and the idea that justice is not a punishment, but a promise. We'll be watching. Will you? Let us know what this story made you think or feel in the comments. Subscribe for updates, because this fight isn't over, and neither is the truth.